After my sixth chemotherapy session, I secretly snuck out of the hospital to find my boyfriend, Alex. I just wanted to tell him that I was almost better, so he wouldn't worry about me. But that night, I saw him holding my college roommate, Eva, in his arms. I used to think that if Alex was no longer in my life, I'd surely die. Turns out, he's not that important after all. Not long after, Alex came looking for me, filled with regret and guilt. I looked at him coldly. Slap yourself when I've had enough fun. I'll forgive you. Without a word, he raised his hand, watching his swollen, red face. I yawned. Luis came back with food, wrapped his arms around my waist, rested his head on my shoulder, and marveled. Wow, Julia, your ex-boyfriend is really obedient. Chapter 1. Are you out of your mind? I told you. You just finished chemotherapy, you can't be running around and eating spicy food. And what do? The moment I step out to use the bathroom, you sneak out to eat. Luis, the doctor who's always so gentle and smiling, was now scolding me angrily. The car sped down the road like it was flying, and I sat in the passenger seat, tears streaming down my face. The only sound in the car was my intermittent sobbing. Slowly, the car began to decelerate, and Luis returned to his usual calm tone. It's not that you can't go out, but this chemo session just ended. You should at least wait 2 or 3 more days to be monitored, right? If you don't take care of yourself and show up sick in front of your boyfriend, won't he be worried? Clutching my cramping stomach, pale as a ghost, I felt an eerie sense of calm. Alex cheated on me, about half a month ago. My condition suddenly worsened. I had to move up my scheduled chemo session to the following day. After it was over, I snuck out of the hospital. I wanted to surprise Alex and tell him I was almost better, so he wouldn't worry. But as soon as I got out of the taxi, I saw Alex holding hands with my quiet college roommate, Eva, walking toward me. I stood there, frozen in disbelief, unable to accept that Alex, the man who loved me the most, could cheat on me with someone as quiet and reserved as Eva. They kept getting closer. In my panic, I felt like I was the one in the wrong, like I was the cheater or the third party. Seeing a restaurant nearby, I didn't hesitate and walked right in. There weren't many people inside. The owner saw me and came over to greet me. What would you like to eat? I was about to refuse, but then I heard Eva's voice behind me. Alex, Julia's in the hospital undergoing chemotherapy. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for us to be on a date here? Eva leaned on Alex's shoulder, sounding uneasy, terrified they'd recognize my voice. I quickly pointed to a few random dishes on the menu and handed it to the owner. Alex, holding Eva by the waist, gave her a firm squeeze and smirked. Why so impatient? We're out in public. Save the teasing for the hotel. Eva giggled as Alex tickled her, nestling deeper into his embrace. Why are you so bad? He lowered his voice, his hand roaming further. I can be worse. Chapter 2. They didn't see me and sat down right in front of me. Eva and Alex suddenly felt like strangers. Flashes of past memories came to mind. Alex's gentle replies when he leaned in to listen to me. His awkward yet sincere efforts to cook bland meals for me. The redness in his eyes when I coughed up blood. Every moment of care I thought we shared. Every instant of love turned out to be a lie. The food and rice were brought out together, the spicy aroma filling the air and prickling my nerves. Driven by a strange impulse, I wanted to try the kind of spicy food I hadn't eaten since I was 10 years old. So, as I listened to their unbearable flirtation, I began shoveling food into my mouth. My lips, already numb, couldn't feel the heat, and the food tasted bitter and harsh. My stomach churned, and I suddenly felt exhausted. Dizzy. I wiped the sweat off my forehead and went to the counter to pay. 78 yuan received via Alipay. The owner heard the notification and, noticing how I kept my head down with a mask on, sensed something was off and asked, "Are you all right, young lady?" I shook my head and hurriedly left the restaurant. The moment I stepped outside, the previously quiet pair started whispering again. That scared me. If Julia weren't still in the hospital doing chemo, I would have thought it was her. Damn. I'm in the mood now. Forget eating. Let's order takeout at the hotel. So exciting. Alex. They laughed as they left their seats, heading toward the hotel. They were the ones doing something wrong, so why was I the one feeling so anxious? My stomach turned again, and I gasped for breath. Struggling to hail a cab, several empty taxis sped past me, as if afraid the sickly-looking person might die in their car. Just as I was about to faint, a black car stopped in front of me. Luis got out with a dark expression, scooping me up in a bridal carry. I wanted to push him away, but I had no strength left. I couldn't even speak. Luis stayed silent the entire way back to the hospital. I didn't make it. As soon as we arrived, I collapsed to my knees on the ground. When I woke up, daylight streamed in, and Luis was sitting by my bedside, frowning as he looked at my x-rays. Seeing the expression on his face, I suddenly felt strangely at ease. Has my condition worsened? Chapter 3. It was only then that he noticed I was awake, his eyes avoiding mine. The tumor has developed resistance to the medication. After saying that, he looked at me more firmly. We can switch to new drugs. Find other targeted therapies. Things will get better. I didn't respond, just stared out the window. I don't want to keep fighting. It's pointless. The sunlight stung my eyes, but I kept looking at it, tears falling without me realizing it. Luis, refusing to give up, kept talking. Medical technology is so advanced now, both here and abroad. If necessary, we can try radiotherapy and chemotherapy again. You're showing signs of improvement. I turned my head and interrupted him, my voice louder but weaker. How long are you going to keep lying to me? The cancer has already spread. I've been fighting this for 15 years. Don't you think I know by now if I'm going to get better? He didn't try to stop me again. That same day, I completed my discharge papers. At home, I lay in bed, with no appetite, waiting silently for death to come in the middle of the night. I realized that when people feel unloved, they often hurt themselves, hoping it will somehow bring comfort. But it doesn't. So what if it doesn't work? Soon, I won't even matter. I still couldn't understand. After all these years, was there really no genuine love? The phone rang at the worst possible moment, interrupting my sadness. Annoyed, I answered. Even this last bit of sorrow couldn't go uninterrupted. How's chemo going, baby? It was Alex, his lazy tone laced with a bit of affection, as if he hadn't spent the night flirting with Eva. Fine, I responded mechanically. That's good. I'll come pick you up when you're discharged in a few days. I've been busy with work, so I haven't had time to visit. Alex's cheerful voice gradually faded, as if he were disappointed. I felt a twinge of bitterness, my nose stinging again. I tried to keep my voice steady, hiding any trace of emotion. Let's break up. Are you losing your mind because of chemo? The playful Alex suddenly got angry. One day you're happy, the next you're not. You told me your dad abused you, so you deserved it. I really don't know what's gotten into you this time. Chapter 4. A sharp pain tugged at my chest. Those moments of vulnerability, when I had opened up to him, seemed to hit me now. There was some static on the line before Alex spoke again, lowering his voice in irritation. I'm busy. I'll hang up now. Get some rest. The call ended abruptly. On the other end, Eva wrapped her arms around Alex's neck, her voice sweet. Did Julia upset you again? Alex's expression softened, and he gently stroked Eva's cheek. Yeah, she's mad because I said I wouldn't visit her for a couple of days. I don't know what her problem is. I remained lying on my bed, feeling a bit lost. If he didn't like me anymore, why wouldn't he just break up with me? The Alex at 25 couldn't compare to the Alex at 10. Honestly, it's pretty pathetic to even think of dying over a man. Suddenly, I felt hungry. I picked up my phone, thinking of ordering takeout, but Alex's words echoed in my head. Damn, I'm in the mood now. Forget eating. Let's order takeout at the hotel. Disgusting. I decided to go out to eat instead. I got up and left my apartment, only to see Luis standing alone outside. Surprised, I walked over to greet him. I didn't expect to run into you here. He put out his cigarette, took a few steps away, and waved his hand to disperse the smoke. Smiling at me, the hospital's nearby. It's convenient for work, so I bought an apartment here. But I'm so busy. I hardly ever come home. He suddenly turned to look at me. Want to grab something to eat? I started walking ahead. Sure. Let's go. We sat down at a small restaurant nearby, both of us lost in thought, saying nothing. When the lamb noodles were served, I grabbed the spoon and added a lot of chili to my bowl. Luis's pupils contracted. You can't eat spicy food. I didn't stop. I'm dying anyway. Why bother with the rules? He didn't say anything after that. Once I put the spoon down, he picked it up and ladled chili oil into his own bowl. The spice made my nose run, and I kept tissues in hand as I ate. I pulled another tissue from the box and blew my nose when my phone rang. I raised my eyelids slightly. It was Eva. The last time we'd spoken was back in our second year of college, before my cancer relapsed. She had run out of shampoo and asked if she could borrow mine. I heard you're breaking up with Alex. Eva's urgent voice came through the phone as soon as I answered. I tossed the tissue into the trash, pretending to be confused. No. Where did you hear that? Chapter 5. Her voice suddenly became hesitant. Well, I ran into Alex on the street today. We were just chatting. And he told me. My tone was cheerful. He must have been joking. How could I possibly break up with him? He treats me so well and loves me so much. She gave an awkward laugh. I thought so too. Alex really shouldn't be sharing everything with outsiders. I sighed. Anyway, I can't chat. The pearl necklace he bought me just arrived. I need to go downstairs and get the package. She fell silent. I continued. You wouldn't believe it. Alex saved up for so long to buy me this necklace. He said pearls are good for my health since I'm not doing well. What a waste of money. My voice, full of complaint, was laced with happiness. Eva laughed nervously. Ha ha. Well, I guess he's really good to you. Yeah. Anyway, I really need to go. Talk later. I immediately hung up the phone and looked at Luis, who was sitting in front of me, waiting. Let's go. When we reached the entrance to the apartment complex, Luis glanced around the empty space and hesitantly asked, Is the delivery guy not here yet? I blinked. I made that up. He nodded thoughtfully. As the elevator arrived at my door, I flashed a bright smile at Luis. Thanks for dinner. Next time. It's my treat. He responded. All right. Late that night, Alex called several times. I simply turned my phone to airplane mode. Let the two of them keep fighting. When I woke up, it was nearly noon. I turned off airplane mode, feeling great as I saw 99 plus messages and a dozen missed calls. Before I could scroll through them all, Luis sent a new message. Didn't you say you'd treat me to dinner yesterday? How about today? I'm out, and I can pick up some ingredients. We can make hot pot together. I quickly agreed. Sure, come over to my place later. After sending the message, I got up to wash my face. Just as I finished, there was a knock at the door. He came back so quickly. Thinking this, I hurried to the door, but it wasn't Luis standing there, it was Alex. The smile left my face as I coldly asked, What are you doing here? Alex's face was filled with anger. Why didn't you tell me you were discharged from the hospital? I went there and only then found out. Chapter 6. We've already broken up. What obligation do I have to tell you anything? Alex slammed his hand against the wall. Julia, can you stop making a scene? I was just busy with work and didn't have time to visit you. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms, scrutinizing him, trying to catch a flicker of guilt in his eyes. Alex, is that all? How long have you and Eva been seeing each other? For a moment, panic flashed across his face, but he quickly regained his temper. I only saw her yesterday. I was just venting. Why do you have to be so suspicious? And calling her to say I bought you a pearl necklace, what was the point of that? Alex, I was the one at the restaurant that day. The moment I said that, Alex, who had been so aggressive just moments before, froze. His face turned red, then white. In an embarrassing display of emotions, he looked at me in disbelief. You were following me? Chapter 7. Faced with his baseless accusations, I laughed, too tired to explain. Yeah, I followed you. Let's break up, and stop dragging this out. I grabbed the door handle, trying to close it, but he grabbed the edge of the door. his lips trembling. Baby, I can't lose you. In the past, if I had seen him with red eyes, begging like this, I would have forgiven him no matter what mistake he had made. But now, I only felt disgust. I stood there quietly, wondering what kind of performance he'd put on next. Seeing I wasn't saying anything, Alex lowered his head, continuing to beg. Baby, I only saw Eva that one time. I was just too lonely. Then he suddenly looked up at me, trying to grab my hand, but I dodged to the side. He awkwardly withdrew his hand. It was torture not being able to see you while you were in the hospital. Please, forgive me just this once? I stared at him coldly. Slap yourself. When I've had enough fun, I'll forgive you. Without hesitation, he raised his hand and didn't stop. As I watched his face swell and redden, I yawned. What a man, able to grovel when needed. Luis returned with the groceries, walked past Alex, wrapped his arms around my waist, and rested his head on my shoulder, marveling. Julia, your ex-boyfriend is really obedient. Alex stopped, his eyes darting between Luis and me. You moved on that fast? Before I could speak, Luis taunted him. Thanks for giving up your spot, ex-hubby. Realizing he'd been played, Alex's lips trembled in anger, and for a moment, he couldn't speak. When he finally did, his voice was full of rage. So, you moved on just like that, and I'm the one who cheated? Fine, we're even. If you send him away, we can pretend none of this ever happened. We can still be together. Ha! I sneered. Who wants to be with you? I slammed the door shut, and this time, Alex didn't block it. The commotion outside quickly died down, and I heard the elevator doors open and close as he headed downstairs. I turned to look at Luis, who had already let go of me. Thanks. I felt a rush of excitement. That felt great. Luis swallowed the words on the tip of his tongue and simply said, You're welcome. I excitedly picked up the groceries for Luis and ran to the dining table, then rushed to the kitchen to grab the dishes and utensils. But as I dipped my food into the sauce, drops of fresh blood began falling into my bowl. Chapter 8. The bowl and chopsticks slipped from my hands, shattering on the floor, and oil splattered all over Luis and me. Instinctively, I covered my nose, fumbling across the table for tissues with my head tilted back. Luis handed me some. I stuffed them into my nose and wiped the blood from my face, not bothering with the oil stains, and collapsed onto the couch, looking at Luis's white shirt now stained orange. I gave him an apologetic look. I'm really sorry. Not only did I not treat you to dinner, but I also ruined your shirt. Luis smiled casually as he swept up the broken pieces on the floor. It's fine. It's just a shirt. We can have dinner another time. I forced a smile and leaned back on the couch, staring up at the ceiling, lost in thought. Doctor, how much longer do you think I have? 3 months at most. His voice was calm, though his knuckles turned white from gripping the broom too tightly. That's still a pretty long time. I mumbled. My eyelids fluttered, and I felt an unbearable tightness in my chest, gasping for air. So tired. I turned on my side, clutching a pillow as I lay on the couch. I'm so sleepy. I'm going to take a nap. Don't bother sweeping. Take a break and head home whenever. There's food in the fridge. Help yourself. I'm really sorry, but I don't have the energy to move. Luis didn't say anything, and I didn't care. Drifting off to sleep, Julia's breathing gradually steadied, and Luis quietly approached her, his warm fingers brushing through her hair. Julia, I like you so much. His eyelids trembled, and his voice came out raspy and gentle. He lingered beside her for a moment before standing up, his steps both heavy and light as he walked to the door and closed it softly. In my days, I heard Luis's confession, but my eyelids felt so heavy, I couldn't open them, nor did I want to. I didn't want to think about anything anymore or deal with any relationships. I guess Luis knew I wasn't actually asleep. It felt like I had slept for a long time. When I woke up, my hands and feet were freezing, my clothes soaked with sweat, and the sky was just starting to darken. I fumbled for my phone and found a message from Luis. I quit my job. I want to take a break. How about we go to Japan together to watch the fireworks? Fireworks? I remembered mentioning to Alex once that when I got better, I wanted to go watch fireworks with him, but he had brushed me off at the time. Chapter 9. We'll see when I'm better. Another message popped up on my phone. You've been undergoing treatment for so long. Don't you want to get out and explore? If I really stayed home all the time, it would be such a waste. I replied, when do we leave? Since my mother passed away, I hadn't left this place. I truly wanted to get out and see the world. Tomorrow. Dr. Luis sent a quick reply. Okay. I pushed myself up from the couch and walked to my bedroom. I opened the nightstand drawer, where the brand new Japan visa sat on top. I had begged Alex for a week before my chemotherapy, and he finally went with me to apply for it. He probably never intended to go see the fireworks with me. Did he? The next day, after we boarded the plane, we arrived at Akita Airport in Japan in just a few hours. The entire trip, we didn't mention what had happened the day before, almost as if by unspoken agreement. After lunch, we went to a kimono shop to buy yukatas. The shop owner, a kind elderly Japanese woman, watched us as we tried on the ones we liked, and she sighed. You two look so perfect together. You must be newlyweds, right? I was about to explain. Luis took my hand and smiled, answering, yes, we are. Once we left the store, I didn't ask him, why didn't you correct her? It wouldn't have changed anything. Either way, we continued walking to our next destination. Since the fireworks festival wasn't starting for a while, we first visited some popular tourist spots in the mountains. It wasn't until evening that we made our way to the foot of the mountain to watch the fireworks. The place was packed with people, couples and small groups, as a quiet breeze swept by, making the atmosphere peaceful and serene. As the fireworks exploded in the night sky, cheers erupted from the crowd. For some reason, I was overwhelmed with emotion, and tears quickly welled up in my eyes. I raised my phone to record the moment, wanting to remember it forever. Julia, I like you. Amid the noise of the crowd, I still heard Luis's words. I was stunned, looking at him in a daze. His gentle eyes reflected the sparks of the fireworks, full of tenderness. Those sparkling peach blossom eyes, they reminded me so much of 10-year-old Alex. A rush of warmth flooded my nose, and I quickly raised my hand to cover it, tilting my head back as drops of blood fell. Luis panicked and hurriedly pulled out tissues, wiping the blood for me. The tissues clogged the flow of blood. I looked up at the dazzling fireworks, feeling awkward as I spoke. If the blood dripped from my fingertips, clouded my vision, or even spurted from my mouth, it might seem poetic, but it just had to be a nosebleed. Luis didn't look at me, his gaze fixed on the fireworks above. Chapter 10. Beautiful no matter what. After the fireworks ended, we headed back to the hotel, packed our bags, and rushed to the airport. We didn't plan to see anything else. Because of that unfinished confession, things between Luis and me had become a bit awkward. It was already 2 a.m. when we got off the plane, and just as we got out of the airport and hailed a cab, I spotted Alex standing in front of us. It looked like he hadn't slept for a day and a night. His eyes bloodshot. The usually well-groomed Alex now had a circle of black stubble around his chin. He slowly approached me, his eyes filled with regret. Baby, it's really over with Eva this time. I took Luis's hand and walked right past him, getting into the taxi without saying a word. Alex watched the taxi drive away, his gaze lost and confused. In the car, I tried to let go of Luis's hand, but he held on tightly. Julia, this time, don't let go, okay? I kept my head down, but I could feel his intense gaze. Unable to look at him directly, I nodded. Okay. When we got out of the car, Luis and I went back to our respective homes. The only difference now, compared to before, was that we were together. After washing up, I collapsed into bed, and when I woke up, it was already dark again. I realized I was sleeping more and more. Want to go for a walk? Get some fresh air? After replying to Luis's good morning, I sent him the message. Sure. I got ready quickly, and Luis and I left the apartment complex for a walk. It was always nice to breathe in the cool night air. After we walked around for a bit and were about to head home, my phone rang. Eva, want to meet up? I'm at the restaurant below your apartment. Luis leaned over. Are you going? I nodded. Why don't you take the dishes upstairs first? Last time, I had broken a bowl, so while we were out shopping, we bought a few more. Seeing the worry in his eyes, I hugged him gently. Don't worry, I'll be up soon. After some thought, he agreed. Okay. I turned and walked toward the cafe. Eva was sitting in a spot where I could see her right away, staring directly at me. I sat down in front of her. Would you like something to drink? She greeted me. I didn't want to make small talk, so I declined. No, thanks. What is it you wanted to talk about? Her expression grew heavy. Julia, I broke up with Alex. Yeah, Alex told me. Eva's lips trembled, and after hesitating for a long time, she finally asked, Did Alex really buy you that pearl necklace? Chapter 11. I let out a laugh, looking at her innocently. Yeah, is that why you wanted to meet me? Her eyes suddenly turned vicious, and she quickly pulled her right hand out of her bag, and it was a sharp fruit knife, which she immediately thrust toward me. I stood there, frozen, not expecting to dodge, and the knife came down. Watch out! Alex shouted as he jumped in front of me. The people around us screamed, and chaos erupted. Blood gushed out of Alex's body, flowing endlessly like water. His eyes reddened again. Julia, I'm so sorry. Alex was taken away in an ambulance, as Eva was being put into a police car. She screamed at me. Why? Why is it so easy for you to get everything I've ever wanted? Why does everyone love you? The police car drove away, but I remained standing there, unable to process what had just happened. When I finally looked up, I realized Luis had come down at some point and was standing beside me. Why did you come down? I couldn't stop worrying about you. Alex died. He was stabbed in an artery and died before they even reached the hospital. Just like the curse he swore when he was 10 years old. If I ever stop loving Julia, I'll die. When I heard that, I didn't talk to him for an entire day. That year, I found out I had throat cancer while I was in the hospital. I inherited it from my late mother. With the loss of my family and the weight of my illness, I lived in a daze for an entire month. Soon after, my abusive and unfaithful father passed away as well, following my mother, leaving me alone with a few properties. A young boy arrived at the hospital around that time. I heard he had broken his leg in a fight. His parents were migrant workers, far away, and he had no one to care for him. He was grumpy and rude to everyone. But when I was in unbearable pain, he would gruffly comfort me. Stop crying. When I lost my hair from chemotherapy, he would furrow his brow and, blushing, say, You look good. One day, I had my housekeeper buy a piece of jade, and I happily gave it to the boy. His face stiffened. Men don't wear accessories. The smile that had been on my face dropped with his words, and my lips quivered as I started to cry. Why are you being so mean? For the first time, the boy's face softened, and he hurried to wipe away my tears. Don't cry, Julia. Don't cry. I'm not mean anymore. I'll wear it. Chapter 12. As he spoke, he took the pendant and wore it around his neck. One day, when I woke up and went to look for the boy, I found his bed empty. The nurse told me he had left with his parents. That day, I was so angry I didn't eat anything. That little brat didn't even say goodbye. I cried again in my frustration, and to this day, I still don't know his real name. For the next 15 years, I never saw him again, until my first year of university, when I spotted the same jade pendant hanging around Alex's neck in the crowd. He was still the same as when he was a boy, tan skin and a fierce demeanor. We ended up together. I always felt like something about him was different from when we were kids, but I was in love with that 10-year-old boy. Side story, Luis chapter. The day Julia died, Luis felt both hot and cold all over. His body was burning with excitement, while a chill spread from his heart, like he was caught between fire and ice. Feeling like he was floating, it was as if he suddenly had a fever. But it was just that, a fever. When he was 10 years old, his parents rushed to the hospital late at night to take him away. His grandmother was dying and wanted to see him one last time. Luis wanted to say goodbye to Julia, but no one listened to him, and somewhere along the way, he lost the jade pendant. He felt guilty for days, After leaving, Luis' skin became fairer. He had once dreamed of becoming a basketball star, but now his dreams had changed. I want to be a doctor, so I can cure Julia. That was what Luis thought. Luis eventually did help treat Julia, but deep down, he knew she couldn't be cured. He wanted to ask Julia if she remembered him, but after losing the jade, he couldn't bring himself to ask, fearing she would cry and blame him again. Until the day Julia died, he never had the courage to ask if she remembered him. He figured she must have forgotten him long ago. Otherwise, how could she have fallen in love with a jerk like Alex? As a child, she had once said she was going to marry Alex. Standing in front of Julia's tombstone, Luis couldn't understand how she could have loved someone like Alex. On this sunny day, rain poured in Luis' heart.